Imagine what true suffering is. That's a strange concept to visualize considering the subject. One can imagine it as torture of some kind, or a massive pain response to unfortunate circumstances, but these simply aren't accurate. True suffering can be described as the most painful experience that anyone can go through, and it's almost become this sick competition to see who can endure the most pain. There are some experiences that, while brutal and absolutely inhumane, don't necessarily cause any actual pain to the victim other than immediate death. So it'd be more accurate to say that true suffering comes from when you live through a tumultuous experience that emits despair or doesn't seem to ever end. Although, can suffering be measured at all? All kinds of pain wouldn't be tolerated by the average person, with the outlier of people who don't seem to be bothered by it. Do physical and psychological levels matter? Even mundane or otherwise painless actions can be torture to those who are mentally unstable or have past trauma that might be associated to that action. Even with all of these confusing and conflicting arguments, there is an answer to what true suffering is. True suffering is when you're pushed to the limits of your morals, comfort zone, and capabilities of your person. True suffering is when a situation is so devoid of hope that the only thing left is utter despair. True suffering is the moment you realize how futile your resistance to the cause is that causes a snap in the brain, making the sting of hopelessness all the more painful. Some situations can be pushing the body to its upper capability. Physical abuse by those around you, or putting yourself through an inhumane amount of work or stress that causes your body to crumple and ultimately leads to a slow death that drags on, just to make it even more painful. Some people just break. Their mental health is all but gone, and the person they lost control of is a hollow shell of someone who is now no longer there. They can no longer take the stresses of everything around them, causing unfathomable consequences. However, the one experience that we all undoubtedly experience is the pain of failure. There are several forms of suffering, but the true form is when you try again and again to reach out to something that you desperately want, only to be met with the constant wall of negativity and resistance. You try to fight off the chains that drag you away from your goals, but the chains will all come to us one day. After all of these failures and hurdles, you eventually lose faith and you begin to fill with despair as you accept the harsh reality that you live in. That is true suffering.